A woodland during the establishment phase, so the first 10 to 15 years of its life, will look very much like the woodland that I'm standing in here at the minute. This particular site is a restock, so it's an area that was harvested and replanted. It's around 9 years old, planted with a mix of productive broadleaves and then allow natural regeneration to come through to add to the diversity and the biodiversity value of the woodland. But regardless of whether you're managing a woodland through woodland creation or through restocking an existing woodland, there's some other things that we need to think about during that first period. So in a woodland like this, the first thing we want to be thinking about is protection. So trying to protect our trees from mammal damage, whether that be deer, whether that be rabbits. We want to protect the trees. We can do that through a number of methods, whether we want to talk about fencing, whether we use guards, or whether we use population management. And the Forestry Commission woodland officers can give you good advice around the most appropriate methods to use in your woodland. Once we've thought about protection and we can be sure that our trees are actually going to grow without being damaged by mammals, we then need to think about weeding. Certainly when trees are young and initially getting established, young saplings, it's in quite a competitive environment, and we want to make sure that other weeds that are growing on that site don't outcompete those trees and limit their growth. And as the trees develop, we then want to start thinking about other things that might impact on them in terms of competition, such as natural regeneration, which might also occur on the same site, as is the case in the woodland behind me here. There's a lot of natural regeneration here. There's some coppice stools already in here from the previous crop. So all of those are going to come up and they're going to start to interfere with our planted trees. And while some of that's acceptable, we need to make sure we manage that and perhaps clean the stand, remove that competing tree growth to make sure that the trees that we want, at the spacing that we want, are achieved. Once we've thought about keeping the trees free from competition, there's a couple of other things we might want to think about, especially if we grow on hardwoods for timber. So first of all, hardwoods, unlike conifer trees, tend to take a little bit more work to get them to a quality standard. And one of the things we might want to think about during this stage is formative pruning, where trees are starting to develop two leaders or heavy side branching, which is going to limit their ability to produce clean, straight timber in the future. We might want to go in and remove some of those extra branches or single out the leader on the tree so that it's got clear growth. Once we get to the point where these trees are getting up and away, risk-free from damage, we might also want to make sure that we're thinking about removing tree guards and tree shelters or any other devices that we've used to protect those trees before it's too late and before we lose them into the forest. If we're going to introduce plastics, etc. into the forest, we need to make sure we remove it. The final thing I would say about this whole stage is that whilst obviously we're interested in getting the trees away, we've come up with a plan for the trees, the other thing we need to be thinking about is future management. And this is also a really good time to make sure that we've got access within the woodland, which allows access for deer management, for regular weeding, for inspections, but then also that can form the basis for your future ride network, which allows access for thinning and for future harvesting operations as well. Mowing rides and maintaining open space within the woodland, although used for access, provides a perfect opportunity for other benefits of the woodland, such as biodiversity and ecology, or for recreation. Those are the kind of things you need to be thinking about during that first 10 to 15 years. But if you get all of these things right, you'll hopefully end up with a really successfully established woodland that's fit to deliver your objectives in the future. If you'd like any further information on this, I suggest you visit gov.uk/manage-woodland.